All right, welcome everybody. It is live trading here in Income Navigator, and it is Thursday, August 21, 2025. Markets flat, kind of meh. Today, down maybe 14 points, not even 0.2% on the session. So let's just jump in. So we're going to break today into two segments, like I said. I'm going to spend the first 25 minutes or so. We're going to go through charts. We're going to be taking a look at trade ideas, see what's out there. Are things setting up yet, or do we have some more pain and downside to go? And see what we can do on a trading standpoint. And then in the second segment, we'll actually go through specifics of the accounts, look at our trades, and we'll model specific trades out for you. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have specific, companies you want to take a look at, specific trades you want to talk about, any of that thing, as always, you can pop them in the chat. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's jump into trading platform. Let me get off the screen and let's get started. Take a look at what's out there. So we'll start as always with the futures, and we're going to start with ES, the S&P 500. Now, if we're looking at the daily chart here a bit, uh, we've got the anchored VWAP that dates back to this August 1st low that we have. That's also coinciding exactly with the 21 EMA. We held above that so far on the session. Now we dipped below briefly. We're off our lows. Yesterday, pretty big hammer candle off of our lows, but no rebound on that. So today, again, just a continuation to the downside. But we are off the lows of the day. Now, whether that holds or not, we'll see. Uh, but for now, we're trying to hold on to this desperately, the 21 EMA and this anchored VWAP, both at the same exact point. If we look at the weekly chart, again, things are still very bullish. The 8 above the 21 above the 50 way above the 200. Bollinger Bands are expanding. All of them are rising. Everything is very good and positive here on the weekly. So any pullback here to me is an opportunity. And overall, I would say the market's bullish. Again, 8 above the 21. We're above the 21 and the 50. We've got a bullish PSAR on the weekly. I mean, MACD is at 60, or I'm sorry, RSI is at 61. So it's not oversold. It's above the 50. That's a pretty nice looking bullish setup. So any pullbacks here, I think, can be opportunities for the market. We've got the Fed. We'll see what they have to say today and tomorrow at Jackson Hole. But overall, I'm really not too worried about that. I'm going to trade what I see, not what the Fed says. Jerome Powell does not trade my account. Neither does the President of the United States or anyone else. I trade my account and I choose to trade it by not looking at the news, by actually trading what I see. And I really like where we are off of these lows today, but I like the bullish trend. And I think any pullback here is an opportunity. The question is, do you get in now or do you wait a little bit? You've got MACD, RSI, stochastic momentum all falling in here. So is this downtrend over? Is this it? Was this as far as we go? Uh, I think you could have a little bit more downside potentially here, as long as we stay above this previous low. We'll have another higher high and another higher low, so we can pull back still more on here. I wouldn't be rushing in, but on ES, we talked about this the other day. It's starting to really set up decently for a strangle. So I think a 112 and a strangle trade on ES are good opportunities. I wouldn't, with the market being bullish, I'm not going to change any thesis of mine. We're short term rolling over here. I think this could be a buy the dip moment. If we get a little chop in here, I think that'll be great. Let's give it just a little bit more time on the weekly if we get any more pullback here, but I do like the strangle opportunity. I think we can go higher, but I think there's some lower opportunities. I think a strangle's not a bad probability play in here. All right, let's keep moving. Oil continues to be in an overall downtrend. Everything is bearish, 8 below the 21. You flip to a bearish PSAR, which looks like with the dot way up here at 78. This is going to take some time for this thing to flip uh, at all, but there's nothing positive here. You're below the 50 on RSI and falling. Stochastic momentum is falling. There's really it's just a bearish outlook right now on oil, but it's been that way, and it's been a good strangle opportunity as we've gone through. And just again, in the short term, 8, which is the blue, below the 21, below the 50, below the 200. There's just nothing good happening with oil. However, it's a nice little bottoming, consolidation pattern we got going on down here. Stochastic momentum is oversold and starting to curl up. RSI didn't really get into oversold territory, but down around the 41. MACD starting to try to reverse its way higher in here. It wouldn't be the worst thing, in my opinion, on oil to look at like a 112 trade or something along those lines. I think Strangle is still also an opportunity in here. So I do like the setup on oil for both a 112 and a Strangle. You could also do a potentially get Jade Lizard in here as well, but which is going to give you the same thing as having a Strangle and a 112 on at the same time. So that's not a bad strategy in here. I think you have to watch the downside. I think down here at this 55 level is something to keep an eye on. We're not threatening that yet, and we are getting oversold. Here we're starting to get oversold on the stochastic momentum, but we know that that can continue. We're at the same point that we were maybe here, and we dropped from about 66 all the way down to that 55. So that was 10 more points with stochastic momentum heading lower and finally basing before it even started to turn up. So momentum is definitely down. If you're going to do anything on oil, I think you just be smart. 112 Strangle. Keep your stops and keep an eye on where it is. All right. Next thing here on gold. So if we're taking a look at gold, had a nice reversal yesterday off of the trend lines. We got this short term, we've got long-term trend line, which we're way above, which would be the 50 here on the weekly charts. On the left here, we held that, bounced off of it nicely yesterday with a pretty strong day, giving back a little of that today, but way off the lows on the session. MACD starting to maybe reverse its way higher. RSI has just kind of been hanging in there. Stochastic momentum is oversold. We'll see if this starts to curl up. Things look a little, like they're weakening on the weekly, but the 8 still very far above the 21, above the 50. You can't even see the 200 in the frame here. Bullish PSAR. Everything I like to see is going on in gold. There's no reason, in my opinion, to get really, really bullish here. Maybe we consolidate sideways. I continue to hold that gold is a 112, and I also think right here is a really good strangle opportunity on gold. So I'd be looking at both of those things right now on gold. All right, let's jump into bonds, which again, just one of my favorite things right here. I just think this is kind of like UNH was after the big drop. I think bonds are giving you the same, when they're giving you a gift, you just keep taking that gift. And that gift to me is the gift of the strangle on bonds. Sure, you could possibly do a 112 or something here because I really think we've got good solid support. I really don't see a reason for bonds to fall. However, I'm going to stick with what I see versus what I think on this. And what I see is, the 8 below the 21, below the 50 on the weekly with a bearish PSAR and RSI just below the 50. So overall, fairly bearish on bonds, but we know that. This is not surprising. Okay. Bonds have been in nothing but a downtrend for quite some time. If we're looking at probably the more recent trend on bonds, pretty simple to just draw that line in there, and we'll follow that. Yes, it's a bit of a descending triangle. I really don't see a reason to break the 111, but I'd still be cautious overall of getting uh, too overly bullish. I don't see a reason for bonds to just shoot up, and they've been in this range more recently. So again, overall bearish trend, but the daily not quite as bad, although the eight's about to break the 21 to the downside. You're breaking the 50 again. It's just hanging in this area. So I think I will stick with the strangle strategy on bonds. We've got a strangle, or we've got a naked put on right now when things looked a little bit more bullish about 8 days ago or so. Here, things have turned a little bit more bearish on the short term, but I'm not really that worried about it. I think I would be looking at a strangle. All right, the Qs, it's the same thing here that you're seeing on the S&P. Question in the chat here um, is, is QQQ a setup for a leap entry to start an income poor man covered call? Well, we just covered it a little bit, but you've got a pretty nice rollover. You've got this opportunity here. What I did the other day, if you were following my trades, was I actually sold a naked put on the Qs in order to get in to a poor man's covered call setup. So I sold a 30-day naked put at the 556 level, which is right down here, which is the bottom of the Bollinger Band and the 50 EMA. So I sold a naked put here. Now I'm gonna take in the cash for that, which was a really nice return on the cash by selling this naked put. If we would come down here to 556 or and break it, and I would get assigned, I would immediately close out the long shares that I would be assigned, and I would open a leap at that exact point, which means it would be giving me an entry where I feel the Qs would be a good opportunity. So that's how I'm looking to get in to keep the Qs instead of chasing things was sell a naked put. If I get assigned, I will automatically flip it. So I will take an income for dropping. While if we dropped, I will realize all the income for that, and then I will get my price here. If we don't get down here, I'm going to realize all the income for it anyway. So I think to me that's the way I'm playing it. If you're looking to get into something here, you're between, on Qs, you're between the 50 and the 21 EMA. It's not terrible. Uh, everything's bullish overall on on the longer term on the weeklies here. So I wouldn't get too caught up in getting on this thing dropping too far. So this is not I can't give you financial advice on it, but I would consider this is not a bad spot. You're below the 21. You're slightly above the 50. You're getting close to the Bollinger Band. If you wanted to get in here today, if you were thinking of doing maybe 5 contracts, I might start with like 2. And if we rebound, fine, you at least got your 2. If you continue to fall, you might add another 2 or 3 if we get down into this area. Right? So I hope that makes some sense. No, I don't, Nick. If you read my trade plan for the lazy trader, when I sell naked puts and I'm considering assignment, I will shoot for 90% on those. So my trade plan on naked puts, where I'm okay with assignment, okay, is a 90% profit target. Okay. Because, hey, if I was okay with assignment, why would I close at 50? I would probably take the full 90% because I really am using it as an opportunity to get in and then use my own version of things. All right. So my version of wheeling or using the poor man's covered call, to me, I think that's a smart way to get yourself into trades. All right. Hope that makes sense. Let's keep moving. I think we covered everything, bonds, everything. RTY, I think this is still, everything here is bullish on the weekly. Okay, so you've got a bullish signal long term, and then you've got uh, a little bit of a pullback here, but the small caps are holding up pretty well. And if you again, trade what you see, not what you think. But if the Fed will start a cutting cycle, small caps are going to benefit. So I will say that RTY is now a potential opportunity for maybe a 112, something in there, which is kind of my go-to for a bullish trade that gives me some downside protection as well in the markets here. I don't think I'm going to strangle this because I think this can move. But I think there's opportunities here on RTY at this point. All right. We got about 10 more minutes before we wrap up the chart portion. So let's get into some individual stocks. And if there's any names you guys want to hit, you can certainly let me know. Uh, but there's where we are in futures. I mean, right there, you've got ES, oil, and gold. All of those to me, 112 and strangle opportunities. Six different trade setups right there. On bonds, I think right now I would just focus on mainly the strangle. But if we continue to pull back, if we start to see some basing in bonds, which I think we will, uh, then I'll keep selling more naked puts. I've got a naked put on right now, down slightly, but I'm not too worried about where it is. And then on RTY, again, 112 trades. All right, so let's get into some stocks. If futures is not your jam, then we can take a look at some stocks. I would rather trade futures and indexes, in my opinion, than individual stocks. However, I think there's trades and opportunities to be had out there. And I'm going to start to add some more anchored VWAPs in here because I think some of these are really starting to come into play. All right. So taking a look at overall at Amazon, well, yeah, 8 above the 21, bullish PSAR, okay, RSI above 50 here. Overall bullish trend on Amazon. I would be looking to get into Amazon on dips. Well, you're getting one. So you had a big gap down on earnings, which was to me the opportunity to add. We've run up. We filled that gap, by the way, but then we on the way up we had a gap which we just filled as well. So we can now take that gap off. So that gap has been filled. You've pulled back to the 50. You're right at the anchored VWAP from this August 4th time frame. Could get some support in here. You don't have a ton of support levels. We may be able to take a look over here. Use this as a potential support level as well. It was a previous resistance, flipped to support. Okay, was a little bit of a resistance here. We'll see if we can get some support in here. I don't think Amazon is in a bad spot to purchase, but MACD, RSI, and stochastic momentum all falling. So your momentum's dropping. Everything's still stacked. It's good. I don't think it's a bad spot. So I do like Amazon in here. That's one of my favorite companies out there. And I think this is not the worst place to get in on Amazon. So if you like it long term, I think this is a good opportunity. All right, NVIDIA, you've had a pretty nice little pullback. I'm going to pull this support across. Okay, here, previous. Okay, obviously, the weekly, we don't need to go through that, but everything checks off. 8 above the 21, you're above the 21, bullish PSAR. RSI is above the 50, but it is a tad oversold, but still very bullish. So NVIDIA, super bullish. That would be a good opportunity. So this is the signal that it's a buy, okay? But the trigger would be I want to buy on the pullback. Okay, so it's bullish, which is great, but the trigger to me is buy the pullback. So it has pulled back. We do have earnings coming up. We're getting really doggone close to these earnings coming up on Wednesday of next week. So earnings next week on Wednesday. So we have a little ways uh, to wait. And you have pulled back under the 21. You pulled back right to this support. In fact, today we basically hit this support right on the nose. Huge reversal candle yesterday. Bears tried to push it down. Bulls rallied it all the way back up, held above this support. Okay. It may have been a good opportunity yesterday. You're seeming to get some follow through today on this. Uh, so I do like NVIDIA here. The only problem is you have earnings. So I think you've got to make your decisions as to whether you want to, buy right ahead of earnings on this thing or not. Don't think it's, I don't think their earnings are going to suck by any means. If you look at their earnings history, they continue to beat, 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 beat. However, you can still beat and then sell off. So there's a beat back here, okay, and we sold off from 136 and then we didn't, and we went all the way down to 87. Now that was during the sell-off of the market as well. Another beat here, and we sold off and never went really much higher. Another earnings beat here, and we sold off from 135 down to 101. So it can beat and still drop, and I think that's got to be your fear on Nvidia after this mighty run up that it's just a little overdone for me. All right. Tesla, I still like Tesla in here. We're seeing a decent uptrend here on the weekly. Okay. And this just continues in here. The anchored VWAP from back here on July 7th is the support level that we're near right now. Uh, we could also put on another anchored VWAP from here, which we've broken. So that one's probably not useful. And then we've got this anchored VWAP all the way back to April 7th, okay, which is this white line that we have managed to pretty much bounce off of each time, which is down here around 306. Tesla stacked. All the moving averages are stacked. I don't think it's, except for the 200, which was just slightly below uh, down here. I don't think it's the worst play in here. We're already in it. Uh, I don't mind Tesla here at this level. Uh, okay, let's keep going. Meta, probably one of the best out there from a quality standpoint. Again, everything is bullish on the weekly side, which means we look to buy on a pullback. We've pulled back pretty strongly after a great earnings and really good forecasts and news. So that to me means, hey, let's take a look at this stock on a pullback. And now you've broken the 21. You've got a gap to fill here. So I think we looked at this gap. You triggered a bearish PSAR here. I don't know that I would be in a hurry. It's a pretty interesting reversal candle. But I think, let's watch and see if it fills the gap. I'm in no rush. On it, Apple hasn't pulled back enough for me. Google, I do like this trade on Google here. I think this candle yesterday was great, bouncing off this support level, previous resistance, flipped to support, moving higher on Google. So I think that's a pretty good looking opportunity here as well. So I'd be taking a look at Google and seeing what opportunities there might be for you. It's probably not low enough, in my opinion, to do like to buy in it to like a poor man's covered call or something like that. I'd like a deeper pullback, but I think for a trade standpoint, I think you can, put credit spreads in here for a swing trade. I like it. I did an in-out trade on it recently. That trade's pretty much just flat now after 3 days. So lots of opportunity in Google. Any further pullbacks, I think, are better opportunities, but I don't know that you're going to get one. This would be another case of if you really like Google, then I would consider selling down here right around the Bollinger Band and the 50. That seems to be the areas right around this 190 strike. Maybe I could sell the 190 naked put that if we came down here and got assigned, I would love to own this thing and wheel it or turn it into maybe an income poor man covered call or standard poor man covered call there, kind of like a wheel trade. I would swap my shares for a leap and then start selling, at the money, in the money, out of the money covered calls, uh, whatever your plan might be for that. So again, I'd like it. It's bullish here. That's how I would play Google. Palantir That's a gigantic reversal candle yesterday. You're getting a little follow through here. Huge hammer, breaking the 50, hitting the Bollinger Band in the 3 ATR almost to the penny, and then bouncing, recovering today. Things still look bearish. Things look a little bit bearish on the internals on the weekly as well, even though everything on the chart is bullish. But you did flip to a bearish PSAR, okay? And MACD starting to roll down, or RSI starting to roll over here. So I think you've got to pay some attention here. I don't know that I would rush into this thing, still overbought, but this might be an opportunity. I don't know that I would I mortgage my house to get into this thing, but this is a pretty nice looking candle and a bounce off the 50. I think if you wanted to swing trade or do something here, I think Palantir is a good opportunity. This would also be a candidate maybe for an in-out trade as well, where again, an in-out trade is I'm buying a call, uh, one strike uh, in the money and selling it one strike out of the money for a like a 1-to-1 up to down ratio. This thing looks like it could make it a quick little bounce here. So I might place something in Palantir that's a low risk, high reward. Even a butterfly, broken wing butterfly trade, I think those would be good opportunities. All right. Let's go quickly here. We're gonna hit our max time allotment for charts. Microsoft, uh, yeah, you're getting a nice pullback here. If Microsoft is one that you like, it doesn't meet all of my criteria necessarily, but uh, I do like it in here. So let's take a quick look at that one, see if that's something that we want to get into here. Again, it would depend on uh, your potential trade plan and what you want to do overall on it. This is not a bad entry, in my opinion, on Microsoft. Down at the bottom, Bollinger Band, right at the 50. It's been a nice pullback, but you do have a bearish PSAR flip now. MACD RSI is overbought. I don't know. I'm not a Microsoft fan, so it's hard for me to really get behind this thing um, too much. All right. That's my part in it. Doesn't mean you can't, but for me, I'm just not a big fan of Microsoft. It's been a great mover. So if you've had it and you're in, great. It's kind of the same take that I have on like Palantir. If you've been in it, you've done great. I just don't know that I love it here. All right, really quickly, we got to wrap up. Hood, nice pullback. Like the pullback here on Hood. It's trying to find a base. Good reversal candles again yesterday. I think we get a little bit of a bounce, maybe off of this heading into the Fed. Um, all right, but I think just chill on it a bit. Costco, of course, for a poor man's covered call, I really like it. It's had a strong run, big day yesterday. Things look good overall. It's certainly improving. Um, the eight's about to break the 21 on the weekly. That would give you uh, stacked um, moving averages on this thing. You're still in a bearish PSAR, so it's not 100% bullish. You're 75% of the way there of the indicators. But I think next week or so, this will be a pretty bullish buy on dip scenario. And we had the dip, we bought. If you didn't buy, you probably still have an opportunity in here on Costco. Um, all right. So there's Costco. Let's go. Let's give JP Morgan looks really, really good here. I love where JP Morgan is. This thing could be getting ready for another move higher on JP Morgan. Uh, AMD, good reversal candle yesterday. It's it's not giving you any follow through today. Bearish PSAR, 8 might crash through the 21. Everything's falling. I don't think I would be in any hurry on AMD. I don't think I'd be in any hurry on SoFi here, although it looks like a pretty good reversal is happening here. May not be a bad opportunity in here, but if you're trying to do like a poor man's covered call or something longer term, there might be better entries than this. I think this is another one where you sell like the 20s, the $20 naked put, and if you get assigned, you own it at a good price, right? And then lastly, there's a question for mags. Um, One of my problems with mags is the strike selection and the liquidity is not great for an income performance covered call. However, I have been doing it in the small account and we are up substantially on that. So that being said, it's worked for me pretty well. I'd consider, again, the whole naked put thing down here because I really would rather buy. I mean, we're below the 21 EMA, which I think is a good thing. I'd really rather buy around the 50 on some of these higher flyers. Okay. Uber, this thing has been a good looking stock. I think, again, this thing's about to flip a bullish PSAR. Almost did it this week. Not quite. Maybe next week we'll get there. Uh, I think you can be patient on it, but I think Uber's setting up. I do like Netflix on here as well. I think you've had a decent recovery. I think the opportunity was here. This is still not a bad opportunity on Netflix. Okay. Berkshire having a nice run, hit the upper anchored VWAP, failed there. Let's just skip to some key stuff for me. Um, I like Nebius here. It's had a nice run, anchored VWAP just below us here from this July 11th timeframe where we've really held on to that. Okay. We're bouncing off the 21. Nebius Group looks pretty solid in here for a trade. So I like that one. I like AppLovin in here, one of my more favorite stocks. And again, I think let's put an anchored VWAP in here. Okay, looks kind of the same as Nebius. Big reversal candle yesterday. Great follow through today. Good opportunity here, maybe to get into AppLovin, which looks good on both the weeklies. Look great, and I do like this pullback here. Yesterday was a really good opportunity um, for this thing. So that's kind of a little bit of the takes on those things. And then Oscar, we sold naked puts on this. It's just hanging in there right at all of these moving averages, anchored VWAP. I'm fine with it here. I think it's starting to potentially get into gear. It's got a gap to fill above. I think we take a look at that one. All right, and then our UNH trade. It's got a gap to fill. Wouldn't surprise me if we came back down and filled partial or all of this gap here, but I still think it's a great opportunity. We finally got on the weekly, a bullish PSAR flipped this week. MACD is rising, RSI is rising, stochastic momentum is rising. We're back above the 8. This thing is looking pretty decent as far as we're concerned. We got in. I own a bunch of this thing. I'll keep riding it out. And then lastly, Bitcoin got some support down in here. Decent move yesterday, giving back some of that today. We'll see how Bitcoin reacts. Pretty much the same exact thing with IBIT. Okay, we'll watch this support level, see if this holds. MicroStrategy trying to hold up down here below the Bollinger Band, right at the 3 ATR, and right at what I consider is my trend line. Here, let me extend that. So this longer term weekly trend line, it's a good spot uh, in here overall. Now, the weekly chart still looks good, 75% of the way there. Just the bullish, it's a bearish PSAR. Everything else looks decent for us. I'd like to see RSI. It's still above 35. It's in the 35 to 50 range. I'd like to see it pointing up, but I don't think this is a bad spot for me to get in. And I'm really looking for opportunities on Ethernet. I keep doing that. I did it every time. Ethereum, sorry. I'm really looking for that in here. ETHA would be the way for me to play it. This is not a bad spot. I don't know that we have a lot of liquidity in ETHA. Okay, to sell naked puts on this, but I would maybe want to own this thing down around this spot okay, which was kind of this previous support level in here, which is the 50. This is kind of my favorite spot right now on some of these things that are bullish and trying to get in at a better price. So we'll take a quick look at that chart on that. All right, let's take a quick 1 second break. I'll restart the Zoom. There's your charts. Let's get into the accounts.